Hello YouTubers, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do a Fallout video on Sanctuary. So I've done something slightly different here. I've completely covered up Sanctuary in concrete. I normally don't like to build in concrete, but I was inspired by Jug's video on how he did this. So if you haven't checked out his channel, I'll put a link of his channel in the description, but he likes to build in concrete and concrete blocks. And I thought it was a good idea. I was going to just abandon Sanctuary and not even bother building here. I've only really built here once, I think, when I first started the game, and never really appealed to me because of all the ugly buildings you can really remove. But definitely check out his video. He's got some really good tips and techniques. I don't really follow his techniques. I find them too tedious. There's certain things I do follow his techniques. So I have made a playlist of every single building or most buildings that are built in the settlement. So if you want to see how I did certain things, there are certain tricky things, but most of it's pretty straightforward, right? And then you just let your ideas inspire you. Now, unfortunately, Jug disappeared off the scene and doesn't build anymore, but and he didn't actually finish showing his completed settlement. So I've had to improvise, and I've kind of taken some of his original concepts and I've tried to implement them as best I can, because I wanted to try and stay true to what he did. And you'll notice certain things, I don't put any sort of neon lights outside any of the buildings. I keep them inside. I wanted the exterior of the building to look very plain and elegant and classy, if you will. And I think that's kind of what he achieved and what I achieved. And then he didn't really do anything, I believe, at the back of Sanctuary. So I've kind of just gone and done my own thing, and I'll show you what I've done, and I think it turned out pretty decently, right? So as you can see, the massive builds, yeah, a lot of time. Actually, building all the buildings wasn't too bad. I mean, it wasn't as bad as it looks. It was quicker than it looks, but detailing the inside of the buildings, I wanted to make sure that every building did have decorations inside as best I could. And so I spent a lot of time doing that. So every building you see here can be used and is used. There isn't any wasted buildings. There's no buildings that are just basically concrete blocks and isn't used. Every house is underneath these buildings can be used. You can enter every single house, the original houses, and use them, and I'll show you that. So I'll start off with showing you what the town looks like, or the city looks like, or the settlement looks like. We'll take a walk around, and then we'll go and take a look at inside of every building, and I'm going to show you what I've done in terms of at least the ones that I've actually built outside of the houses are more interesting than the actual houses, obviously, because the houses are just houses. Now the houses themselves, as you know, are not bad in terms of shape. I mean, there's definitely worse houses, like the one on Spectacle Island is completely trashed. But these houses are, it has rubble and debris on the ground, and you have to try and hide them. So it's a little tricky to do that. So, but we managed to do that. So, anyway, without further ado, let's get onto it. Let me see if I can make it down here without dying. I think I can.
Yeah. Perhaps next time we should scout for a safer way down.
Okay, so let's start at the main entrance. And again, I don't use mods. I don't like using mods. I just don't feel that it makes it authentic. Everything here is unmodded. I have all the DLC, and I've probably used bits and pieces from most of the DLC. So if you're looking for something that you don't know where to find, now I don't use too many things in the settlement. Like I said, I'm trying to keep it kind of plain in a way. But let's actually take a little bit of a further view here. As you can see, the entire area where the water is blocked out. Now I haven't actually built a wall per se, but one of the things that I wanted to do was make sure the entire settlement was enclosed, and enclosed meaning there weren't any gaps in between the buildings. If you notice in Jug's video, he did have sort of gaps where raiders or enemies could actually get in, and I don't want that. So one of my things was everything had to be completely enclosed, and the only way to really access Sanctuary is through the front entrance. So just starting with the main entrance, I have this sort of archway. There is a I don't know where my companion is. There is a security guard just kind of overlooking the main entrance. To the left here is the Brahman area. Again, I'll come back and we'll take a look at each kind of area. I just wanted to kind of give you a larger view of the town. And we'll just take a slow walk through here. I suppose the only nice thing would be able to get rid of all this dirty grass and stuff. That'll make it a little bit more elegant, but maybe that perhaps it adds a little bit of character. So as you can see, every building can be entered and accessed, and you can see in between the buildings I've blocked it off, so there's no access, or hopefully there's no access between the buildings. I may have missed some. Now Jug does do a video on how to build this building. This is his building, so if you're kind of interested in doing this, I would definitely follow his tutorial. Unfortunately, he gets distracted halfway through that tutorial and starts skipping pieces, but definitely the bottom half is very interesting. How he does it, how he uses his snapping tool, why he talks a little bit about that. So definitely check that out. And then this was my first building that I built. And then, like I said, he got distracted halfway, and then I sort of just improvised at the top. And like I said, I don't really use his snapping tool. I don't think there's a reason to use it, but I do use some of his techniques in terms of putting blocks together, because some of the times when you this close, like this guy here for instance, sometimes it'll snap into another concrete block. Other times you'll have to put a piece of wood to make it snap and get them to join properly. Yeah, definitely. As you can see, there's the right, or the little middle piece block there is elevated, and those are some of his techniques that he uses to make them come together. Now I do use the wire glitch extensively here. If you've never used it, definitely look it up. I do have a video on my channel about that, and it's called the invisible wire glitch. Definitely check that out. Very useful, very valuable. I kind of thought it was lame when I first heard about it, but it's just incredibly useful in terms of if you start doing something like this build, trying to get power inside buildings and stuff. It'll just save you a lot of time. Okay, so this is kind of where it ended with Jug. So most of the stuff I've just sort of done my own thing. Okay, just heading to the back here. Again, one thing I noticed is settlers, even without actually building here like I did, one thing I noticed, settlers just don't seem to want to really come back here too regularly. So I guess there's kind of the area they stick to the front near the workshop, and they don't just kind of head to the back too often, right? So, but I do see them wandering through here now and then, and I've tried to force them in by putting some more beds at the back here. I've also built stairs all around. You'll see a lot of these marble concrete stairs. Very easy to build. Again, one of Jug's signature marks. You'll see people building these stairs. It's pretty much comes from him. So he does a lot of wood building. He likes to build in kind of the wood. I like that sort of more of the marble look. Okay, we'll get into it. I've got a whole sort of generator. This is one of my favorite buildings, this kind of look with indented archways. I'm not sure where my companion is. Actually, while we're here, I'll just give us a better view of the. So as you can see, the back of Sanctuary looks very different than you probably remember. A lot of dirt, and it had the swings. I had a couple of most of the stuff you can actually scrap, but there was a couple of things like it had that kind of octagonal archway, and it had kind of, I think it was a swing set perhaps. But anyway, I had to cover it under these blocks here, as you just can't scrap them. Okay, so let's start back at the entrance, and afterwards I'll also give you a view of a nighttime view. It's kind of cool at nighttime. And again, as you can see, I don't label anything on the outside of the buildings. I don't have any neon lights. I like the clean kind of concept look where it kind of gives you that elegant kind of look. And I wanted to try and stay true to that. But I do have it. Once I go into the stores, you'll notice, like the store, for instance. We'll go through there. You'll see. Okay, so let's start with the Brahmin area quickly. Yeah, just a small little Brahmin area. I just figured out this was unused space. Kind of turned out to be kind of a nice area to use for them. These straw hails, these straw bays, are from the Nuka Wool DLC. Those cactuses. So on the left here, starting off, I have a security guard building, prison if you will. I created sort of 4 jail cells here. These are just spikes from the Nuka World Raider DLC again. They do go fairly high up, so you do have to have sort of at least three levels of concrete above you if you want to try and conceal them. I mean, they do kind of spike out the roof, even still after 3. I think you actually need 4. And they do look kind of cool if they stick out at the top. Kind of look mean look to them. Okay, so I have a couple cells, each labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. A couple security desks. Some guns on the walls here. You'll notice most entrances use the metal sort of door entranceway. In this case, I've used a bit of concrete, but most will use sort of these metal doorways. They work quite nicely with these concrete blocks. Okay, then this is a house on the right here. And again, I've gone and I've tried to decorate all these houses. I don't want to leave any of them kind of undecorated. As you can see, I put wooden floors down. The floors have a lot of debris, hard to actually cover up a lot of the stuff. But I did a pretty decent job, I think. Relatively decent. That still turned out pretty nice. Created some bathroom areas. Little cooking stove. I like those cooking stoves. Try to cover up this hallway. Yeah, it's kind of difficult to get anything in there. And these rooms are a little tight. Some of them are smaller than others, but this is probably one of the worst houses in terms of rooms. It has this broken fan on the floor you can't get rid of. But you know, using some blocks and some mats, you can do a pretty decent job of covering that up. I've tried to use different furniture in each house, so each one house looks a little bit different. Some of them look similar. Okay, coming this way. Okay, another house. That's the default post on the wall. It looks kind of cool. And then I covered up, put these kind of dresses here just to give the bathroom a little bit of privacy from the bedroom. Just put that wall there, use that to create a wall. Then most of the crops and the food is actually just along these buildings. All these muchi trees, that's kind of where the crops. I kind of removed all the ones at the back. There's a few at the back where I tried to see if I could get them to go to the back more often. Okay, I like this look a little bit better. It's nice and open there. Okay, so you'll notice these bedrooms are a little bit larger, so you can get a little bit more stuff in these rooms. That's a tiny room I just turned into a little office here. So I try to make sort of 1 or 2 beds per house, the max. I didn't try and stuff these rooms with beds. I originally did, but just to see if I could get them to sleep more at the back. But okay, so this is the general store we're going into. This, like I said, this is our first build-in. Got some TVs on the walls here. Just turn this into a general store now. It's pretty high up. You'll notice what I've done with these ones I built. I've actually created a floor inside here as the bedroom area. Okay, so this is just the general store with some containers and shelves and stuff. And then I created sort of some living space, utilizing, instead of wasting the space. It turned out really cool, especially sort of I think the clothes or the doctor's one. I think the doctor's one has the best one actually. And then I struggled to build right at the top here because it's kind of there's it's pretty low ceiling, but I did get a few things up here, some couches and stuff. It's a little tricky though, but it turned out pretty okay, considering. Okay, another house across the way, yeah. What's neat about these houses, they're all slightly different in design, so you can kind of do something a little bit different in each one, which is kind of cool. Get you to get familiar with the layout here. TV on the table there. A little bit, these are tiny rooms, or smaller rooms rather. Okay, another house on the left here. And then we have the workshop behind me. Now the other thing worth mentioning is if you're going to do this and you want to try and build a little bit away from the wall, I found, now this wasn't intentional, I just ended up having to build the way I built, but having some space around the outside of the exterior allows you to put some conduit and hide some conduit so it doesn't look so ugly inside the house. Allows you to get around and do stuff like that, but you'll notice not in all cases that's feasible because in some areas you just don't have a lot of space behind the house, but that was kind of useful, might be worth considering. Okay, so this had some kitchen left over in it that I hadn't scrapped. You'll notice I carpet glitched a fireplace into this one. This is the only house that actually has a fireplace, but you can actually glitch a little fire in there and it makes it look like the fireplace is alive. This is the original Sole Survivor house. Decent sized rooms there. I think this was the first house I started decorating. Okay, then right across the way is we have the workshop area. It's Mama Murphy. You'll notice I've glitched the couches together. I really like that kind of look of the couches. I've done that quite a few places. Just carpet glitch it in. Okay, I left the original kitchen here with the fridge. I wish we could actually build these fridges, but unfortunately on some of these kitchen things, but Definitely not the vanilla version. Okay, so we got bathroom. Okay, that's a workshop. Now the next building I turned into a bar area. Was an empty platform or broken house, or a house that you could actually scrap. So you'll notice the design of each building. I've kind of, again, try to keep true to what Jug was building, get some of his ideas, but ultimately I had to start coming up with some different looking buildings on my own. And you'll notice that. But each building kind of looks slightly different, which gives it that character. Okay, so you'll notice I've turned this into a bar. It's kind of more of a sports bar. You'll notice the TV's at the top. Kind of turned out quite nicely, just like a typical sports bar would look. Bunch of flags. Definitely like the look of this, how this sort of came out. Another tip here is if you want to actually snap these guys together, these slot machines, they either have to be on dirt. For whatever reason, they do not snap together on regular floor. They can snap together on dirt or on wire mesh. So what you could do, these guys aren't snapped obviously, but what you could do is put down wire mesh, snap them together like these guys. You can see they all snap together, and then replace that wire mesh with the floor that was there before. But if there's no dirt and there's no wire mesh, they do not snap together, just for FYI. Okay, so that's kind of the bar area. Okay, another house, yeah, I believe. So this one again, depending on if you're going to put floors in, sometimes you get lucky, you get some floor in there. I got some, it looks a lot nicer, but in some cases it doesn't all go all the way. But and then again, it does make a big difference when there's a lot of dirt on the floor that you can't get rid of. And I actually made this an ensuite bathroom. I actually ended up blocking this bathroom door there and kind of turned it into a much larger room, which is kind of cool because it had this whole sort of doorway kind of broken down here. Okay, carrying on. Okay, a couple more houses here. Okay, another glitch couch. Kitchen left there that I was able to use. So each one of these houses are a little bit different, which, like I said, it's kind of cool that they're all kind of a little bit unique in a way and do different things. So it took me just as long to do the insides as it did the outside of the house. It was just a lot of work to actually decorate each house, go in there, clean it up, try and get everything to fit. I will be right back. Okay, so back again. Okay, so there's these two extra buildings again were empty platforms. So I turned these empty ones, the ones that the ones that I built from scratch into kind of general stores and stuff like that. So this is the doctor's, pretty large. You can go quite a fairly way back. So I turned this into a little hospital slash medic office. You'll notice I have, a whole bunch of beds here. Okay, then I'll show you what I've done. I'll show you what I've done upstairs. And again, I did the same thing. I kind of turned into a nice little living space up here. So a little doctor's office. Sorry, a desk there. Got a little kitchenette area. Sleeping area. And you can obviously assign these beds to doctors and the vendors or merchants. And the little bathroom area with a little bit of privacy there with one of those. And I like this area. It turned out to be a really nice space at the top here. And these little coves just worked out nicely where I could put steps to the top. I like how that actually turned out. Again, original floors, most of the original floors, but as you can see, the first half is where the original pad was, and then the second half is where I actually put down floor right to the back of the settlement. Now I surrounded this tree with fences because I think sometimes enemies do spawn next to the tree. I haven't had any yet, but that was kind of the idea. But it also kind of looks nice in terms of just being caught off. Okay, so we're in the clothing or the tailor shop. Now this is one of the level 4 vendors, and Hargraves. You can grab her at one of the radio stations just near Egret Marina. So she'll sell some decent clothes. Also the guy from, just so you guys, if you don't know, the guy Voltec guy that you find at where is he at? Down by the, I forget the name now. Although some of you probably know. Good Neighbor. So you'll find him in the hotel in Good Neighbor. The Voltec guy, he's a sales guy that sort of originally sold you access to the vaults. He's also a level 4 vendor, very easy to acquire. Grab him. He's a little irritating in terms of his speech, but he'll be able to sell you some decent clothes as well. So I actually put him at Red Rocket. I've got him hanging out at Red Rocket, so he's close enough that I can actually go. So again, I have some space at the top here. Little bathroom area. So each one of these spaces turned out to be kind of unique and different in their own little way. I kind of really like how these guys all turned out.
Lost track of how many ballistas I got.
Okay, so that's kind of the town itself. Let's head to the back here again. So I have two accesses to the back. I have one down there, and then I have an access point from the main road here with a power door. I just kind of wanted it to all kind of be covered or walled off in a way. So again, just kind of coming down here. I have steps everywhere, most places, yeah, just to kind of little cooking area, sitting area. So let's start off with the water purifier or generator area. So again, when I was first building this, I built this massive building. I thought I'd turn this into a massive sort of thing, but it turned out to be just looking like a massive wall. So I ended up turning this to kind of 3 different buildings or 3 different areas, and I'm glad I did. It actually turned out to be so much nicer than that big wall that was just an eyesore. So again, down here we have a generator area. I used the pole glitch just to get these generators closer to each other. Surprisingly, I haven't actually been attacked as much as I expected. I've had a death claw and I've had a couple. Oh, there's my companion on the outside of the wall there. Actually, tell you what, let me go and get I'll go get my companion and then I will see if we can just get some daylight here quick.
Your assistance with my repairs is appreciated.
Give you a better view from the top.
I'll
hear
hand
about
it to
that
you.
farm on
This
the
place
moon?
isn't awful.
Isn't
It's still a
that
hold, but it could be worse.
Just want to get mark.
Hey,
I'd
wait
be happy
there.
to help if I can.
I'm just going to go down here quickly just to show you it's a little brighter. Down here it was kind of dark early on. So as I mentioned, just pole glitch these guys, try to get them as close as together, because once you start putting those blocks there, you don't really have too much space, and I wanted to try to get a decent amount of water in there. So as you can see, going all the way back, and then mostly hidden under these kind of other structures, which is kind of cool. You could just see it kind of from the top, but mostly you couldn't actually see it, which was kind of nice. And there's just kind of a little room with sort of mesh there, making it look very utility. As you can see, just a better view of all these steps. So if you build in steps that are this height, they're really easy. You can just manually build them. You'll notice in my build video, I kind of built these, and I actually didn't like them the way they turned out. That was actually the first set of steps I started building for the settlement, but I actually ripped them up and redid them. But if you're building like really high steps, then you kind of want to use Jug's snapping tool, because otherwise your steps start to go askew, right? But even these guys are fine. You can pretty much do them pretty quick. Okay, starting with this building. So most buildings in Sanctuary can only go to about 4 stories. After that, depending where you are, some of them will go a little bit higher, depending on the elevation of the ground. But it kind of topped out. You'll notice all the buildings are pretty flat, just because I maxed out the height on most of them, right? So again, most of these wires are wire glitched, as you can see. Very useful. Definitely learn that, use it. It's very valuable. Okay, so like I said, all these buildings can be used, lived inside. Lots of room, tons of room in the settlement. If you ever did this, so much room is just so much room you don't even need. But I wanted to make sure all these rooms are as decorated as best as possible. And they've got a little lookout here. Like these little hallways, not very useful hallways, but kind of gives that a different, unique feel to the building. I kind of like that. Okay, so I used the aluminum inside the buildings, okay, giving you that kind of different look. Okay, then I wanted to have an access point. So outside I can actually walk around the entire building. Get a great view of the settlement. And these 2 buildings have roof accesses. Most of them don't have a roof access. Definitely not the houses, but potentially you could. I mean, I put a couple of chairs on the roofs. Yeah, I've noticed some settlers show up on the roofs. But as you can see, very flat on the top. Again, as you can see, I did the wire glitch here. Now it would be impossible to run power between those 2 pylons without the wire glitch. You pretty much can do the wire glitch from anything that has a wire on it. You're not limited to things, but as you can see, that looks kind of cool with the wire. I mean, that kind of looks like a regular, you know, those, if you look at those power poles in the distance there, right? So, you know, they do stretch quite a distance, so there I can run power. Now, most of this is running on about 300 units of power. I think I have the closed shop on its own power grid, so I can manage the loom machine separately. So I just threw in 100 there, but I think I have about 200 or 300. Okay, so that is the one building, and then lastly I will show you the last building before we end this video. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and comment. If you've got any questions how I do stuff, like I said, I do have a playlist of every single building, the entire build of the settlement. I don't do the interior decorating videos. That's just standard stuff. Nothing to show there. But all this other stuff, if you were curious how certain things came together, check out my playlist. They are fairly longish videos, an hour, 2 hours tops, I think at the most, is most of them. like I said, I did one video per building, and each building doesn't take too long, so it's fairly easy to do. I think it's really the details, steps, things like that, that took a long time. These steps down here, the ones down kind of near the road, took the longest. Just had to redo them a few times. Okay, so this is, like I said, all these buildings can be used inside. Lots of space here to do stuff. Just incredible amount of space you can utilize. No, this is the top floor, top fish floor, so I couldn't actually put anything on the walls here. Wouldn't let me build them at the max build limit, but just kind of, as you see where the lights are, that's kind of where the height of the build is. So I did put some planters at the top here just to see if I could get some settlers to come up and look after them, but I haven't seen any settlers show up yet. But I have seen Mama Murphy kind of walking around, and a couple of settlers that kind of walk around. So that's just kind of the view from the top. As you can see, very cool looking view, very different than the old sanctuary. So definitely, if you're interested in doing it, check out Jug's channel for his tips and that. This is really his kind of idea and concept. I thought it was really cool. It's not something I normally build in if you've watched some of my other videos, but definitely I thought this concept was kind of neat. You get rid of all those old ugly houses. I mean, it is a fairly large amount of work to do this. I mean, it probably took me 4 or 5 days. In terms of hours, probably like 20, 30, 40 hours, I guess. The buildings were pretty straightforward, fairly easy to put together. It's just really getting the corners and things like that, building the living areas, things like that, that took forever to do. There you go. I hope you enjoy. So let me, for those that are still interested, I will do a quick night view so you can see what the settlement looks at night. Especially this back area does look pretty cool at night, and we'll go take a look.
was that?
How?
Are slot machines supposed to flash?
Life still ain't perfect, but we're surviving.